They did it. This week, the Democratic Party opened the door to the big tent and they let the Trojan Horse inside. The DSA and its allies didn't need to build a third party. They didn't need to run as independents and lose. They didn't need to storm the gates. They used the Democratic ballot line. They ran inside the Democratic primaries and they defeated establishment Democrats. And now they are one step closer to governing from inside the party itself. That is the real story coming out of New York. Mamdani-backed candidates swept key Democratic primaries, and the message was unmistakable. The progressive left is no longer just protesting outside the system. It's winning inside the system. And once those candidates are inside the walls, what does the Democratic establishment do? If they reject them, they risk civil war inside their own coalition. If they embrace them, they risk surrendering the party's identity to a movement many Democrats themselves say doesn't share the party's basic values. And if they do nothing, the movement keeps advancing. That is why this moment is bigger than one city, one primary, or one candidate. This is now a fight over the future of the Democratic Party. James Carville said some of these candidates shouldn't even be seated in the Democratic caucus. John Fetterman called it a huge night for the dirtbag left and warned about anti-Israel, anti-American, and anti-Western turn. Governor Shapiro said Democrats need to have a real battle over what they believe in, something he says the party hasn't really done since 1992. Carville is saying draw a line. Fetterman is saying the line has already been crossed, and Shapiro is saying the party has to decide what it believes in. And independents are watching too. They're asking a very simple question. How can a major political party put candidates in front of voters who talk about abolishing borders, abolishing police, abolishing prisons, nationalizing industries, seizing property, or dismantling the very institutions they want to govern? That is not normal reform. That is something very different. The DSA's own platform and agenda make the issue even clearer. This is a movement tied to ideas like public ownership of major corporations, universal amnesty, defunding the Pentagon, weakening or replacing core constitutional institutions, and subordinating power to a very different governing vision. So the question becomes unavoidable. Are these candidates trying to reform America, or are they trying to dismantle it? America has always allowed protest. America has always allowed dissent. And America has allowed radical ideas. That freedom is part of the American system. But tolerance is not surrender. If you seek power inside the American system, you should have to answer one basic question. Do you believe in the constitutional system you are asking to govern? Because public officials don't take an oath to a party, a movement, a religious code, or an ideology. They take an oath to support and defend the Constitution. Donald Trump saw the opening immediately. Asked about the New York results, he stripped away the nuance and called it what he believes it is. Not socialism, but communism. For a moment, it sounded like a flashback to Ronald Reagan's anti-communism. The old warning that socialism promises equality, but delivers control. Democrats may dismiss that as Trump being Trump. That would be a mistake. Trump understands branding. He understands that voters may not follow every primary, every DSA endorsement, or every activist platform, but they understand crime, they understand borders, they understand taxes, they understand police, they understand private property. They understand whether a party sounds proud of America or hostile to it. And that's why Tuesday night was not a good night for Democrats. The Big Tent is one thing. A Trojan horse is quite another. At 250 years old, America has to decide what it intends to preserve. Truth, justice, and the American way. You can read all about it this Monday at zeus.substack.com.